Legionaries were one of the most feared and respected military forces in the ancient world. They were the elite soldiers of the Roman Empire and represented the height of military power and efficiency. The term legionary comes from the Latin word legio, meaning levy. The term was used to describe the soldiers who were recruited into the Roman army from the provinces of the empire. They were the backbone of the Roman military and were highly skilled in both land and naval warfare. These legionaries formed groups called legions, consisting of 1,000 to 6,000 men. They were considered some of the best and most effective military personnel in the ancient world. Despite often facing larger armies, they achieved astonishing victories against the Greeks, Carthaginians, and various barbarian tribes. There were 5 different types of legionaries in the Roman legions: light infantry, cavalry, and 3 types of heavy infantry. The light infantry, called velites, were armed with a short sword, like javelins, and a small shield. They were recruited from poorer citizens who couldn't afford more advanced weapons. Velites played a flexible support role to assist other legionaries. The cavalry, known as equites, were the most elite and prestigious unit in a Roman legion. They numbered around 300 regardless of the legion's size. Equites were armed with a long sword, javelins, body armor, a helmet, and a shield. Most of them were wealthy citizens who could afford the expenses of equipment and horses. Their primary role was to charge at enemy soldiers, especially when the foes were retreating. Many wealthy Romans became equites to lay the groundwork for future political careers. Heavy infantry consisted of wealthy citizens and was divided into 3 classes based on age. The youngest heavy legionaries, called hastati, formed the front line of the legion. The second line consisted of principes, men in their late 20s and early 30s. They were armed with a sword, heavy javelins, body armor, and a large shield. The third line was made up of experienced legionaries called triarii. They had the heaviest armor and carried a long spear instead of javelins. The role of heavy infantry was to directly engage enemy troops and fight to the death. During the 4th and 5th centuries BCE, heavy legionaries fought in units called maniples, commanded by centurions. These maniples formed a checkerboard formation, with the second line covering the gaps in the front line. Triarii filled the gaps between the maniples of principes. When marching to battle, Roman heavy legionaries would first disrupt the enemy's front lines by throwing javelins. Then, they would use their shields to protect themselves while engaging the enemy in close combat, using their short swords. The goal was to break the enemy's formations and create chaos. Velites would assist by throwing more javelins. Once the enemy broke, Roman equites would pursue and inflict further damage. Maintaining a large number of elite soldiers was expensive. As a result, legionaries ceased to exist as a distinct class of soldiers in the 5th century CE when the political and economic support systems collapsed. And thus, the legendary legionaries of ancient Rome faded into history, leaving behind tales of their prowess and military might.